Hello everybody, and welcome to the RedTail Landing Golf Club. My name is Dean Stefanic, and I'm the food and beverage manager and executive chef. And I'm going to show you how to break down a bird and cook it in less than 2 hours. The very first thing that you want to do is make sure that your bird is defrosted. You want to make sure that there's no frozen parts within the bird, because then that will affect the cooking process. If you don't mind bringing in the camera, and I'll show you how to break down the bird first and get it ready for the oven. The bird has many parts that not necessarily we use when we're cooking and eating it, but we can use the bird, the legs and the thighs and the neck and also the wings for our stock. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is take off which is the tail. Okay, so make sure you have a pan on the side. You're going to take all those pieces and you're going to put it on the pan, and we're going to roast those. Okay, sometimes there's some extra fat in that sort. We can also put that on the pan. Okay, with the wings, if you can take a look over here, you can actually take it right off. Okay, and there's a little joint in there. Okay, so we're going to want to cut that joint. Okay, sometimes when you twist the wing, you can actually find the joint a little bit better, so you're going to want to take that. Okay, and we'll also take off the other one. Okay, the other part is to take the legs and the thigh off and remove it from the carcass. When you break down the carcass, it'll actually cook a little bit faster, and then it doesn't have to sit in the oven for more than 3 hours. So we're going to just take our knife and we're going to slice down really gently. Okay, and then we'll also do that on the other side. Okay, and then you're going to take it and you're going to hold it up on its side. This is really important here. And you're just going to take two hands and you're going to pull it and break the back. Okay, so when you break the back, it'll actually break all the bones, so it'll be easier for you to cut through. Okay, so then just taking a knife and cutting through. Okay, so you have that removed. Now your breast, and then there's where the neck is actually attached. There's a lot of extra skin, so you can actually cut that off. Okay, so we'll take that, and you can actually discard this. This is garbage. So the other thing that I like to do while I'm preparing the bird is to actually give it some more juices inside. So what you can do is after you take off the excess skin, you're going to want to run your fingers inside. It's a little bit tricky, but if you actually get your fingers in there, you can actually get your whole hand inside. Okay, and you're going to want to rip that apart. Now, what happens is when you do that, you can actually take some butter. Okay, and it's going to be a little bit of a messy job, but you're going to take that butter and you're going to put it inside. Okay, so you can take that, smooth it all in there. Okay, sometimes it gets a little bit more messier. Okay, and you're going to want to put that on your pan. Okay, so that is completed. When you take a look at it, there's actually inside the carcass, the air as it's moving inside the carcass will actually cook the turkey faster. Okay, so that's why we do that. Okay, now the legs and the thighs are a little bit trickier. Okay, when you take them apart, there is a joint. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is dislocate the joint. We're going to take the knife, and if you feel around, you can actually feel the bone on where it is. Okay, so I like to make an incision on that side and turn it around, and I like to make one more incision there. Now it's tricky, but it's easy, is you just take it and flip it upside down, put your hand underneath, hold the back, and you're going to want to dislocate the leg and the thigh from the back. Okay, while you're doing that, you're going to actually see that there's some meat inside here. Okay, carefully with a very sharp knife. Most people cut themselves because their knives are too dull, and you're going to want to cut down that. Okay, and just keep cutting. You can go as slow as you can, but that's exactly what it looks like. Okay, so we can also get that on the pan and get it ready for cooking. Okay, so we'll do the next one really quickly here. So I just like to make one incision with your angle of your knife and another one here. Okay, flip it over, dislocate that from the back, and then just cut her down. Okay, we'll put that on there. Okay, your wings and everything else is on there, and now you've got your back. This is a very, very important part of the turkey, especially when it comes to making stuffings and also making your gravy for your festive occasion. So here we go. We have our turkey all broken down. It's all in the pan. It's all ready to go. Now we want to season it. So when you season your turkey, I have a little bit of a mixture that I make, and then you just take it and you season your bird. So you're just going to sprinkle it around. Okay? A lot of people are all worried that when you cook something it has to be exactly perfect. You know, if you just get it all on there and put some seasonings, all this will all work out in the end. So here we go, we've got it all seasoned up, ready to go. We'll season up our thighs, okay? And we are almost ready for the oven. Okay, so there, we've got it all seasoned and ready to go. You're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees before you do this. And it's going to cook approximately, I'm going to say for less than 2 hours. You're going to want to check it with the thermometer. When you're checking it with the thermometer, you're going to want to make sure that your turkey gets up to 165 degrees, which is basically 73.8 degrees Celsius in Canada. Okay, so we're going to get this in the oven, and then we're going to bring out our already cooked turkey and show you what that looks like. Here's our cooked product. Okay, we have all of our items ready to go. This, we have the back. We also have the neck that was inside the turkey. We also have the wings that are inside the turkey, and then there's our thigh and leg bones. Okay. Now you see all these juices on the on the pan. This is very nice for when you're making a stock or you're making a dressing. So instead of using straight water or chicken base, you can actually deglaze the pan with a little bit of water. So you can take the water and you can pour it in the pan. Okay. And then you can just take the wing and just kind of deglaze that pan. I don't know if you can see that there. Okay, so see how that nicely comes off? Okay. The other thing is that has happened here, and a lot of times when you pull it out of the oven for the first time, it'll be very, very crusty. What I do is I pour some water in the pan as it's resting, because you're going to want to have that bird rest for 15 minutes inside the oven, okay, with no heat on. And then what will happen is when you put the water in the pan, this will all come off very easily. Okay, this will also help when you're washing the dishes because it's not so hard to scrape off. Okay, so then what I do is I take a pan or a pot, okay, and I'll take the wing bone, I'll take the neck, I'll also take the back and also the wings, and I'll put that inside. Okay, and then you can pour some water in there, get that all ready to go for the oven or for the stove top. And then we'll take the bird, put him on our cutting board, get him ready to go. And then we're going to also want to take these nice juices and pour them in the pan. So we're going to deglaze that pan nicely, get it all ready to go, and pour it in the pan. Now you take a look at all that nice color. There's some brown coloring in that sort that comes onto the pan. That is very, very nice when you're making your gravy. So you don't have to use your colorings in that. Okay. You can also, with a pan being like this, you can also add some more water on there, and you can also deglaze it more using a wire whisk, or this is a little bit bigger, but you can also use a smaller one, and then you can also just do some scraping, and then all those juices will come off, and then when you put your water on there, it'll also clean it off. Okay, so we'll put that to the side. So now, while we're still making our stock, which is very, very important, we'll move their thigh to the side. So then we've got an onion, okay? So what you can do is you can just take your onion and cut it in half, okay? I like to put everything in except for just this little tip. We can just discard that. You can also put in your leaves or your outer edge of the onion, and you can throw that into the pot, okay? You can also take a carrot and just hard cut it, whoops. And we can put that into the pot. We can also take celery. When you're making your stock, you can take the nice celery stalks and put them aside, and then the inside stalk is the one that you're going to want to cut up and you're going to want to put in your stock. Okay? So that all goes in there. I like to take a little bit of parsley, chop up the parsley, and you can put him inside the stock. Okay? And then you put it on the stove, and then you're ready to go. You can also take a little bit more of your seasoning and put your seasoning inside, and you can cook that also. Okay, so you let that boil. I'd say you let that boil for at least, I'm going to say 45 minutes to an hour, and then you'll have a beautiful stock and ready to go. Here's a finished product of the stock. Okay, so you can take a look as I stir it here. It's a nice color, okay, and the flavor is amazing. Because you're using all the items on the bird to make your stock, You almost don't need to have any flavorings in that sort inside. Okay? So you're going to take this. You might want to use half of it for your dressing. You may want to use half of it for your gravy. But this is very, very nice, and you won't have to season it as much. We're going to take the turkey, and we're going to slice it all up and get it ready for dinner. Okay? I'm going to get a nice little plate here, and I'm going to show you how to take it off. Take all the meat off. Okay? You can cut down on the turkey. You can actually break it. Okay? And this will be your thigh. Okay? So if you just gently put your knife in there. Okay? And gently cut it off. That bone will actually just come right out of there. Okay? And then you can just kind of stand it up on its side, and you can cut your meat off. Okay? And you've got that all ready to go. Okay? With the leg bone, there's also some tendons and that sort of stuff inside of this. Okay? Obviously, people don't want to be eating the tendons. And what I do is I like to hold it. Okay? You can do one of two ways. You can hold it and you pull it, or you can take your knife. Okay, and you can hold your knife down on it and just pull, and then what you'll do is you'll get rid of all the tendons that you can't eat, and you can put those aside. Okay, so you see that there's some bones and that sort of stuff. You can also use those for your stock. Okay, so now here's our finished turkey breast. Okay, so the turkey breast is now, you can feel it, it's still nice and moist and everything isn't too dry. So you're going to want to take and you're going to want to make an incision inside there, right down the backbone, or right down the middle of the bone, okay? And then you're going to want to turn your knife and you're going to want to slice it. Now there's a wishbone inside, okay? And that will actually guide your knife to make sure you're making the proper cut, okay? With your fork, you can take your fork and put it in there, okay? And then you can just run your knife nicely down the side. Actually, can you see that? You can see how the rib cage is in there, and then as you cut with your knife, you're actually cutting down the rib cage, okay? And you can get her down to here, okay? So then you're going to take that and cut that off, and then there's your nice breast of turkey, okay, ready to go. Okay, and I'm just going to quickly take this one apart, just so I can show you something else. It's very hot. My fingers are used to being in the heat, so it bothers me a little bit, but not much. So now you can take this bone off. You can break it. Okay. You can also break this bone off and take that off. You can also take your carcass and you can put it inside your pot and use that for your stock. Okay. So you can put that in there. Excuse me. And you can also take your legs and put that in the stock. Okay. And anything else that you want that's all turkey related, and put it in there and add more water after you've made your stock, and you can make a beautiful soup. So after this has all been boiled through, you can actually take this, the carcass off, and you can start peeling the meat outside, okay, and put that in a bowl. You can chop it up nicely and make a nice turkey soup, or whatever you'd like to do. Okay. So when displaying your turkey, okay, you're going to want to take a knife, okay. And you can actually just chop these up just really, really coarsely. Okay, so we'll get that on there. There's some tendons in there, so we can throw that in our stock. So we can put that on a plate. Okay, some people like to eat the skin and that sort. I do. And then you've got your turkey breast. And then what I do is I just nicely slice it all up, get it ready to go for the family. If you can zoom in really closely, I'm just going to squeeze this a little bit. And you can actually see juices inside the turkey. And that's what's most important when you're cooking a turkey in less than 2 hours, is that you actually get some juices and it doesn't dry out. When you cook a turkey, a lot of people, they cook turkeys and they put their stuffing inside the turkey. I'm not a big fan of it, only because the actual stuffing actually makes the bird more dense. And when you're cooking it, it takes a long time for the turkey to actually get to 165 degrees, and it actually dries out the breast meat. Breast meat is very, very delicate when it comes to cooking. You want to make sure that it's nice and moist, just so you can enjoy it, and maybe more people will have the breast meat than they will have the dark meat. So then you just take that turkey, display it on the platter, okay? You can take a nice sprig of parsley, put that on the platter, and voila. You've got your beautifully cooked turkey, and it's not dry, and it actually tastes perfect. I hope you have an enjoyable turkey.